I think gi and no-gi grappling are both, very technical, each in their own way. Obviously the gi focuses a lot more on gripping sequences and things like that. It's a little bit, can be a slower paced game because people can hold each other a little bit more. No-gi, obviously, you don't have the luxury of having the same number of grips to hold on to someone, so you have to be a little more creative sometimes. Well, each in its own way, I guess. Gi has a lot of creativity as well with the variety that you can use in the grips. No-gi, I think it's more of the combinations of the grips, and I think it's pretty interesting. I think they're both very, very technical or very, very not technical, depending upon how each decides to play. Honestly, I'm indifferent for the most part. I like gi and no-gi grappling both. I love them both. The rules in gi grappling, I think, are getting a little lamer every day, with a lot of the restrictions. So, to be honest, but then again, that's no-gi. Certain tournaments are like that as well. I feel that the looser the rule set, the better, within reason. But really, both the activity of both is just fantastic. It's great. Really depends on the context. From a jiu-jitsu perspective, I'd rather play on bottom most times, just because the rules incentivize that. Top is better position, no question about it. But the rules in Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments now incentivize play from the bottom. It's easier to score from there. It's easier to get advantages, things like that. So I don't like to play that way. I don't play to fight to win by edge the person out. To be honest. But when it comes to, if it was no time limit, go to the finish, I would always try to play on time. Really, it's a good question. There could be steroid testing in jiu-jitsu, but I don't know what it would accomplish, who would do the testing. I'm not sure that I would trust them at all, to be frank. And on top of that, I don't even know that it matters, because it's people are going to find a way to cheat. I think training, I love training with I have lots of friends from all sorts of different places. I trained with Marcelo's team and Marcelo before I ever was able to join. I trained a ton with Marilla Santana, Bruno Frazado, people from everywhere. Wilson Hayes would train with, Jake McKenzie, guys from Cyborgs Academy, it's Brasa, I feel like having really varied experience is a great thing. At the same time, having a strong team atmosphere is great, but making sure that I guess really getting around and meeting all kinds of different people is great, because ultimately, the people that I feel close to are people that are, definitely, teammates and whatnot, but also people that I feel are kind of on the same page as me from philosophically and mentally and things like that, and it's always great to train with other people and learn. So whether you get out to train, if you're not really a competitor, getting out to train everywhere is great, although obviously still respecting your own instructor and making sure that, it's clear that, you have your home team. Not because it's bad to go other places, but if you want me, for instance, as an instructor, to invest in you as a student, I need to feel like you're a part of the team. Like, me helping you is going to help the other students at the academy. Whereas if you were to sign up at my academy in a place 50 feet down the street, I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's like, hey, you can do whatever you'd like to do. You're a customer, but at the same time, you can't expect, because you're investing less time in the team that I'm trying to build, or the teammates that I'm working with, or if I'm investing less time with you as my coach, I can understand if you decide to invest less time with me as the student. So, but at the same time, it's great to get around. So I think you just have to be careful to be reasonable, make sure you're being reasonable, make sure your coach is being reasonable, but also respect the feelings of everyone involved. I think that cross-training in judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu is fantastic. Grappling is the same no matter what you're doing. It's just the rules have guided the techniques. The techniques are expressions of the principles and the mechanics behind grappling that are universal to everything. And jiu-jitsu obviously has its own specific rule set. Judo has its own specific rule set. Wrestling its own specific rule set. The mechanics of everything are exactly the same. It's just a matter of people use different techniques here and there because the rules incentivize that in order to win, and competition is what pushes everything forward. But if you want to become a better grappler overall, I think that you should train with as many top-level athletes and as many high-level athletes in as many disciplines as possible. I don't really see how that would be debatable. Favorite submission would be the reverse heel hook of the rear naked choke. It really depends when it comes to rolling versus drilling. It depends on who's around. You know, if I've got a lot of people, you know, around, like when I'm up at Marcelo's Academy, a lot of people that can really push me or beat me. You know, I mean, rolling, I prefer to roll for the most part. Not that drilling technique here isn't done, and it's done a lot, and I really get a lot out of that as well. But you know, when you have peers and you have people that are going to push you, it's definitely better to roll. I think you know, when I was starting my academy and there weren't as many experienced students, you know, I spent a lot more time drilling, you know, than rolling. Not because I didn't get anything out of rolling, but at a certain point you kind of reach diminishing returns, particularly if you're training the same people every single day. So I really say it depends on where you are in the development of your game, but both are extremely important. And I think that, you know, provided a certain unlimited number of hours in the day, or a reasonable number of hours in the day to train, rather, you should do a lot of both. Man, I think the three greatest jiu-jitsu fighters of all time are probably, you know, certainly Roger Gracie, Marcelo Garcia, and probably Jacare, based on competition results. Man, you know, objectively, the best person that I've ever rolled with is Marcelo Garcia, based on, you know, results. And I mean, he beats the heck out of me, that's for sure. You know, I feel so fortunate to be able to train here. I mean, there's other guys that beat me up just like that, and I'm almost, you know, I don't think I'm good enough to tell the difference almost. But you know, I mean, I've had a phenomenal experience, you know, getting to train Marcelo, training with Marcelo Santana. You know, I got to train with Cobrinha, some of the greatest guys in the world, and you know, I just feel privileged, and I feel like I've learned something from each of them, and it's just great to be able to call out of those guys my friends. The 50-50 guard is great for Jiu-Jitsu. The rule set for Jiu-Jitsu is terrible for Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think the heel hook shogi should be legal in gi grappling. I mean, maybe that's just a bias because that's how I was brought up in the sport. It was already illegal. It just seems to me that, you know, it would be almost unfair because the ability to rotate, to spin, you just get tangled up. I would be concerned about people getting hurt. Knee reaping as a rule is an absurd rule. You know, I mean, case in point, look at any no-gi match. You know, I've done some pretty interesting things to people's legs and have them just stare at me like nothing's going on. And then I've, you know, obviously been able to finish plenty of matches with footlocks as well. But by crossing your foot over this imaginary line on my hip, it's not going to do anything to me. And, you know, I get the impression that the rules may have been made to safeguard white belts, blue belts. Well, that's fine, but do you really feel that Pee Wee wrestling, you know, results should dictate the rules for the Olympics in wrestling? I don't, and not that the black belt level is the Olympics by any stretch for the most part, but I don't want to be, it's very strange to have the rules of my matches impacted by what goes on at white belt level. You know, it's just really, I don't feel like it should be my concern. Not that I want people to get hurt, but you know, I don't think Cobrinha is freaking out that if a foot crosses his hip, his knee is going to explode. 50-50 doesn't hurt people's knees. Stupid people hurt people's knees, and basically it's the same thing. If you put me in a Kimura and I sit there and act like nothing's going on, they call me a dummy. If you put me in a heel hook and I sit there and act like nothing's going on, they call you mean. I don't think it's I think it's a little bit of a double standard that's absolutely absurd. Oh, so many people I love to train with, you know, I mean, and like I said, I've had so much good fortune in being able to train with so many different people. It would be great to train with, you know, with Jacare, with Roger, just to get to experience what that's like, and see if I can, you know, obviously hope to just learn something. But yeah, it's hard to single different people out. There's just so many great practitioners now. I mean, Rodolfo Vieira would be really cool to train with. Leo Vieira, you know, we competed once, but just to get to train with, you know, as one of the people I've looked up to for so long would be a great experience as well. Not really, you know. I'd like to compete against anyone that likes to get after it. You know, I'm getting a little bit disillusioned with the way that Jiu-Jitsu is going at this point, to be honest, and I feel like people are incentivized to stall and do almost nothing because it's a lot safer for me to jump close guard on you and pretend to cross choke you a couple times than it is for me to actually try to get after it and sweep you or pass your guard or anything like that. It's disappointing. I'd like to compete with, you know, I like to compete with a lot of the people that I really respect as training partners, the people that I've looked up to, you know, like the Marcelo Garcias of the world. Obviously, we'd never compete at this point, but you know, someone that goes out there and they are there to finish you. They're there to kick your butt, you know. And every now and then they'll drop a match that you think, wow, if only they would have just decided to shut down, maybe they wouldn't lose. It's like, yeah, but maybe that would change who they are, you know. And those are the people, the Marcelo Santanas, Marcelos, you know, people like that. You know, that it's always been a Cobrinha. It's always been a pleasure, just an absolute pleasure to watch. You know, Roger Gracie, people like that, and anybody that really wants to get after it, I feel like win or lose, as long as I've put my best out there, the result will be what it'll be. And you may kick my butt, but I'm not going to run from you. So anybody that kind of has the same mentality, I like. I would say, honestly, fighter. We're fighting without punches, and that's how I view it in my mind. I got into martial arts not for jiu-jitsu competition. I did jiu-jitsu competition because I enjoy it and because it was a means to an end. But ultimately, I became interested. There was no ultimate fighter. There was no coolness factor about it when I started. It was about really being able to see what works in a real fight, and that's always been what's most interesting to me. And I think that a lot of times the people that approach, obviously, fighting in jiu-jitsu, fighting is not the same as MMA fighting. The same way as boxing is not fighting. But I've broken people's arms. I've gotten my arm broken. Like I had my shoulder torn and then tore someone's knee in a match 30 seconds later. If that's not fighting, you let me know what is. Well, I guess, my gym is called 50/50 Jiu-Jitsu. It's in Arlington, Virginia. Anyone from anywhere is welcome. You guys, it's right outside of Washington, D.C. The website is www.5050bjj.com. Come down anytime. Show Your Roll has always been a great sponsor, and they're, I really think that they make fine quality kimonos, which I'm wearing right now. And Vince, the owner, has been a good friend for a long time, and I really respect him as a person. I think it's great. And there's so many people I need to thank. From a jiu-jitsu perspective, obviously Marcelo Garcia. The fact that they opened their academy to me has just been, it's just really been humbling and great. I feel so privileged to be able to come here. Murillo Santana, I've been a good friend for a long time. Someone that just kicks my butt every single time we roll, and it's just incredibly good and underrated, by the way. But phenomenal. I really owe him. I owe Marcelo. Paul Schreiner, a great coach of mine. He's actually one of the coaches here. So many people, to single them out. Jen Flannery, my girlfriend, Seth Smith, my assistant instructor at 50/50. They take care of things for me. They're awesome. And I really, if I was going to list everyone, it would be I'd waste all your guys' time. But there's a long list of people that I owe a lot of things to. And I'm just thankful for all of them.